Thank you, Representative Liu. I'd now like to go to members of the Minnesota delegation. We'll start with Ranking Member of the Agriculture Committee, Angie Craig.
First and foremost, thank you to the witnesses for being here this morning, and just extraordinarily grateful for the number of colleagues who have joined us in support in Minnesota today. You know, in a matter of weeks, the Trump administration has turned not only the Twin Cities, but communities across Minnesota upside down. President Trump and Secretary Noem's cruel and illegal immigration operations got Renee Good killed last week in Minneapolis. But this ICE activity is not confined to the Twin Cities. We learned in my district of one of the first incidents through a video that circulated on the internet of a father being pulled from his car in Northfield, Minnesota, caught on tape by his distraught son. ICE used excessive force, smashing the car window and dragging the man across the ground in close vicinity of a school and church. Yesterday, we heard of reports of additional ICE raids in Shakopee and Cottage Grove, and just a few days ago in Inver Grove Heights. Christina Rank, a special education teacher in my district, a U.S. citizen, had her car window smashed in by ICE in her school parking lot. She was detained for 12 hours before being released. These are just some of the many horror stories I'm hearing from constituents, local leaders, law enforcement agencies, and friends. This is not who we are, America. Schools, places of worship, and daycare should be safe spaces for immigrants and citizens alike. And we all should support legislation in Congress to make sure that they are not performing any duties near these sensitive locations. And by the way, every single ICE officer, agent should wear a body camera, just like local law enforcement is forced to do. Parents, teachers, and students being targeted by ICE are not criminals, but this administration isn't looking for criminals. They are looking for black and brown neighbors, and the Supreme Court of the United States is complicit. President Trump and his administration have tried to sell the narrative that Operation Metro Surge is intended to fight the fraud in our state and keep our communities safe, but we know that isn't true. So let's just call it what it is, political retribution, and it is endangering Minnesotans and tearing families apart. Last weekend, I joined my colleagues, Representative Ilhan Omar and Kelly Morrison, in attempting a congressional oversight visit to the Whipple Federal Building in Minneapolis. We were turned away by ICE officials despite a federal court case that I was holding a physical copy of in my hand. Their response was, "We don't care." Make no mistake, we are challenging this latest Trump administration lawless action in court. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, a serial liar and accomplice to President Trump, is a threat to every single Minnesotan. And that's why the people on this dais today, many of us are leading articles of impeachment against her. This administration isn't using the law. They're going outside the law. And look, if ICE agents want to point out that the woman who was killed, Renee Good, and her partner, Becca Good, are lesbians, to ICE, I say this state elects lesbians to the state house, the state senate, and to Congress from Republican districts. This is not who we are in Minnesota. I'm sorry I don't have much time, but Chief, you are from my district. We are so proud to have you here today. Your leadership is extraordinary. Tell us what tactics they are using, that you see them using, that we would never use in local law enforcement.
Thank you, ma'am, for that question. The first and most obvious is hiding your identity, masking, not wearing a nameplate, and not giving name and badge number when asked to do so. From the videos I've seen, some members of ICE don't have any training or access to intermediate force weapons, where they are moving right from talking to pointing guns at people who are not armed. We're seeing just the poor tactics of how they present themselves with items in their hands that are non-essential, to the way that they speak to the people that they deal with. If any law enforcement officer in Minnesota engaged in those tactics, they would be held accountable both at their local level and at the state level.
Chief, thank you. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you.